Hey, Christian here, founder of Second Life Coaching, host of the 21st Century Man podcast, and welcome to yet another episode in the Estranged series. Yeah, it's a little sunny out here, so I've got my transition glasses on. And in the last video, we talked a lot about it getting better and how, with all the negative that I had discussed with you guys over the last year or so, maybe it was time to figure out how to actually get better. And so I wanted to start today with what is essentially the first casualty in any sort of broken relationship and the biggest challenge you're going to have to overcome in the short term and in the long term, and that has to do with communication. I talked about this on the recent episode of the 21st Century Man podcast, the one that'll be launching on tomorrow, which is January 29th, Monday the 29th, I think it is. And it's the title is called Walls, Boundaries, and Social Media Stalkers. Now, if you've gone through this or you're going through this, you know that communication is probably the most difficult thing to deal with. There's lots of negative shit flying around back and forth. There's ugly messages and people leaving ugly messages in your social media feed, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or what have you. And it doesn't give you any time to heal. It doesn't give you any time to kind of work through what you're working through. It's Sunday, so it's sangria. So what I talked about in the podcast, what I'm going to talk to you about, is perhaps your first step is to build some big friggin' walls and wall off all that negativity from invading your personal space, your social media presence, your online, your life, basically, because it is a huge social media driven world, and we're all there and we're all out there for everyone to see. And so blocking or muting or unfriending or what have you is probably a good thing to do in the very beginning. It allows you to kind of get some space between you and the other party. It allows you to kind of quiet down all the negativity and all the noise that's invading you, and it gives you some time to kind of go inside and reevaluate who you are and where you are, and deal with the deep-seated and deep emotional distress you're going through at the time. If you can't do it, if you're constantly having to explain yourself or justify yourself or argue or fend off the slings and arrows, you're never ever going to get a chance to kind of quiet your soul and allow yourself to heal. So perhaps in the beginning, building those walls and doing those sorts of things is, it's a good thing. And, I've done it myself, and I know others who have done it as well. And it really helps to quiet all the noise that flows around these sorts of things. And this, doesn't just go for broken relationships between parents and children. This is kind of universal advice for, divorces, breakups, what have you. And the thing is when all that noise is flying around, the big challenge is that it can really harm you, your mental and emotional health, but it also can harm your reputation in dealing with your career, or if you're a small business owner. And a lot of people get empowered when they're on the internet. There's a certain, even though if they know you, there's a certain anonymity that goes along with being behind a screen that allows them to say things that they wouldn't necessarily say to you in person. And it allows them to say a lot of things in anger and hit send or post or tweet and walk away from it and go, okay, done, and not think about the consequences of what could possibly happen, of their words or their actions. So after some time, you build those walls and you kind of cocoon yourself, which is highly recommended, for at least a short term, to kind of cocoon yourself and be able to, heal and gather your senses and deal with the deepest part of your grief and your sadness and your anger. Then it becomes time to, maybe build some doors. And these doors are what we call boundaries. Boundaries are the doors and the inspection points that we allow people into our lives. It's like they have a passcode or a password, or they got to go through the TSA in the airport and walk through the detector, so that you know that the people that you're letting in through the walls that you've built are genuine and honest and will be, add value to your life. They're going to bring good things. They're going to hold you accountable. They're going to be there for you, but they're also going to call you on your shit when they need to. And these are the kind of people that you need, that we all need in our lives, and the kind of people that we want to surround ourselves with. So, opening these doors is hard, especially if you walled off. And the danger of being walled off for too long is, you end up excluding those who would, were dying to love you and care for you and show you that they support you and support you and walk beside you. So be sure not to wall yourself off for too long, and open some doors, but make sure that the doors that you want to be open. Figure out the kind of people that you want in your life, the kind of souls you want to be in contact with, the kind of characters that you want to, hang around with, the kind of the people, the tribe that you want to surround yourself with. And those are the doors you open, and make sure that you hold those. I mean, it's easy, particularly in broken relationships, it's easy to allow those close to you a pass, to let them get through the VIP line and come in because, they're family, or they're someone you care about, or they're someone who's close to you, but they may not necessarily be good for you. So make sure that even those, the toughest inspection, the toughest inspections and the toughest passwords are reserved for those you want to let into your life, so that those kind of people who are going to come in and sneak in under the radar and submarine you and torpedo you aren't allowed in. And this kind of becomes a consistent process, and it becomes second nature, because as you start to allow people into your life, you realize maybe not so much that one, or that type of person, or that particular characteristic. And so you start raising your standards, which is what we all should do. And eventually it becomes second nature. You begin attracting those that you want to be surrounded with, and the ones that are constructive for you in your life and not destructive. And it gets easier and easier to kind of sniff out the fakers. It's a gorgeous day. It's finally nice out here. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was kind of social media stalkers. It is, if you're online, it is damn near impossible to be completely anonymous, unless you're like my brother, who has zero online presence, absolutely none, which is pretty amazing, and him and his family. You can't make your life stalker-proof. You can only make it stalker retardant. You can adjust privacy settings, and you can, make sure that only those that you want to see, only those you want to see what you post, see what you post. But there's always going to be ways for people who are looking to mine your wall for dirt, or things that they can, criticize you for, that they can, shoot from the peanut gallery for. There's always going to be those sorts of people. Now, that's not all of them, and I want to make it abundantly clear that there are going to be people in your life who tend to mine your wall and shoot, and look at your, social media life, because they truly do care about you, but they're not entirely sure how to be a part of your life. And those are the people that just kind of want to see what you're up to, that still care about you and still love you, but there's something in the way as far as making sure that relationship is productive and healthy and, you know, active, I guess you could say. Uh, so, but eventually, there will come a time where, after you've gone through the grieving process and you've walked through, you know, the valley of the shadow of death, and you've walked through all the pain and anguish and all the hurt that you've gone through, and you've done the forgiveness thing, and you've forgiven yourself most of all, and you've forgiven those on the other side of the equation, that you can kind of return to a normal life, and your presence in our social media heavy world becomes kind of normal, and it doesn't really bother you anymore what people see, because you've become so confident in who you are and what you've survived, you know, basically, that you're stronger than you thought you were, you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, or however long ago, that you can be out there and put yourself out there and tell your story, and there ain't nobody on this planet who can, you know, who can hurt you with that anymore. And at that point, you know, the people who mind your walls and look at your stuff, and whether their intentions are for good or for maybe not so much, it doesn't really bother you anymore, and you just kind of giggle at it. You know, and if you've been around the internet as long as I have, and as long as some other, you know, as long as our generation, because, you know, I'm 45, and, you know, we were here when the internet was born, so, you know, there we go. There are ways to know who is, you know, who is creeping on you, and, you know, it kind of gives you a little bit of sense of satisfaction to know that they're still interested, they're still a fan of your life, they're still a fan of you, whether their intentions are good or not, you know, that you're, you know, and it comes to a point where you understand you're living kind of rent-free in their heads, and, you know, if they're, I want to make sure I thought somebody was standing out there, even though I'm home alone right now, that if they're doing all that and they're not contacting you directly, then understand you've got fans, you know, and fans come in all shapes and sizes. You know, they come in those that support you, those that just want to kind of knock you down, and so, you know, fans, if you're not pissing somebody off, then you're not doing enough, you know, that's kind of the way it goes. I always love that quote from Anne Lamott that says, you know, it's your story, you're responsible for telling it, and if other people wanted you to write warmly about them, then they should have behaved better. So it is your story, own it. You know, don't be intentionally hurtful, don't be intentionally a dick, but tell your story, be honest, be open, transparent, and just kind of be who you are. And you know what, you'll find out that there are far more people who are in a similar position to you, who are looking to know that they're not alone, who are looking for other people who are going through or have been through the same things that they have, and that's your community. It doesn't matter if it's a broken relationship, it doesn't matter if it's a job change, it doesn't matter if it's any sort of challenge. You know, tell your story. Make sure you heal. Make sure you let those, you know, that you only let those that you want in your life, who are going to be good for you, who are going to, you know, be healthy relationships for you in your life, and then, you know, understand that you are who you are, and other people's opinions are really none of your business. You know, give zero fucks. You know, as Gary Vee likes to say, you know, listen to everybody, or respect everyone, but listen to no one, because you know what, their opinions aren't going to pay your bills. Their opinions aren't going to make you feel better. Their opinions are just from outside of you. You know what you've been through, and you know what you're going through, and you know what you need to do to kind of move on. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening. I really do appreciate everybody who is been watching these, who's been emailing and commenting and what have you. I never thought a year ago that this story would resonate so much with so many people, and I'm truly flattered, and I'm truly honored and humbled by all of your responses and comments and emails that I've gotten over the last year or so. So if you're new to this, hit subscribe. I'm sure it's somewhere on the screen here. I have no idea where. I'm kind of as much as I've done this, I'm still a YouTube noob. But check out, again, I'm Christian. I'm the founder of Second Life Coaching. I am the host of the 21st Century Man podcast. And I am the dude here on this YouTube channel sharing his story. So have a great weekend. It is Sunday afternoon, and I'm going to kind of chill out and relax and do a little laundry and just kind of be me. So later, taters. Peace out.